Hey guys, it's time for issue 3 of Build the RedBull Racing RB7. Issue 1 saw most of the front wing assembly completed. So now it's time to add more fragile aero fins to your model. Also, you will receive your first wheel and its corresponding sticker. First off, we're going to lay out all the parts. As you can see, they come in these plastic molds. Once removed from the molds, make sure any excess left by the molds is shaved off for the smoothest finish. Be careful of those, as they can be easily broken off. These are my spare aero fins, and on my first ones they did snap off. I did have to re-glue it, but it's easily done. So the book says to glue and attach the fins to your existing front end model. Now, since these have to be glued to these, I suggest doing these first to give them more time to dry. Also, the book also says to glue these to the existing model first before attaching the sides, or these things. I chose to glue and assemble them completely separate from the existing model to prevent glue dripping down and ruining the paint job of the RedBull on the existing front end. So first off, we're going to put the rim aside and the corresponding sticker in a tray or somewhere safe, and also put your screws aside and somewhere safe. For now, we're going to be working on these parts of the car, as these need the most time to dry and will take up the majority of your time. They are very fiddly and will take a steady hand and patience to complete. Okay guys, so first off, I'm going to grab our knife and we're going to get nice up and close and just shave off any excess mold off these little pins here, as they're crucial for these red and the bull fins to glue onto. Make sure you get a nice smooth finish both on the edge, top and the bottom. Be careful not to snap these off, as they are slightly fragile. As I did mention, this is my second set of aero fins. My first ones weren't this bad. These ones are a bit crap. Yeah. So get them as smooth as you can, right? And then basically what's going to happen here is that on the back of each of your fins, you'll see a little groove, right? Now these grooves, right, making sure that if you were to face the front of the car, that these curves curve to the back of the car. So the lower side on the inside, the higher side on the outside, and they curve towards the back of the car. What you want to do is you want to grab your glue, do the tiniest of dabs, okay. Now, grab a tissue or something and just wipe off the excess, as you do not need that much. Okay. Now, grab your side panel, or this bit, grab that bit and flip them both over and then sit it in to dry. Now, because we've shaded off the excess moulding, they should sit flush. It's helpful to dry fit them first. So just, you know, sit them up against each other to see if they sit flush first. If they don't sit flush first, then shave a little bit off, and a little bit more until they sit completely flush. Okay, now you want to hold this until it's strong enough to hold itself. Maybe blow on it a bit to help the drying process. Right, you're going to want to flip it over, right, very carefully so it doesn't fall off, and just make sure that the fin or the bull bit is drying at a 90-degree angle, a right angle to the rest of it. Now, as this isn't the real Formula 1 car, it's not going to do a great difference to the aero setup being slightly out, but it does make it look a bit better. Now just sit it aside to dry a little bit. And then maybe grab your other side. Same process again, grab your knife, smooth it off. Right. Flip your bits over, grab your glue, flip them both over again, and stick it down to dry. In some cases you may have to apply a bit more glue. And then sit it aside to dry. Okay, now push your other red and your bull parts to the side for now. Now I'm going to ruin the final product for you guys. Okay, now while they dry, this is the next step. These black fins here, that silver fin there, right, on your mould. Cut them out, smooth them off, and dry fit them. While I was gluing on the silver and black fins here, I believe it was with the silver ones. When the manufacturers made these moulds and painted on the RedBull paint scheme, the holes that the actual silver ones go into before you glue it down were actually filled up with the paint. So I just had to grab my knife and just poke a little hole through, just big enough to get the pins of the silver thing through. A bit of glue, everything was all fine, but that was just probably the only problem I had with it. But other than that, it's fine. With my front wings, which we put aside to dry, that I just went through with, this side's perfectly fine. That one's not quite 90 degrees, but it's not too bad either. Okay, next we're going to grab our supports for the parts we are waiting to dry. I'm going to smooth off the bottom, make sure they're flush, and smooth off the top, make sure it's flush. Now, when I broke mine off the mould, it still had a little pin left at the top and the bottom. Now, I wasn't too sure if the pins had to be left on, like, because all of the other parts had little pins that locked into the grooves. These ones, in fact, do not have any pins. So smooth them off nice and smooth, making sure they're flush, and get them ready for preparation, and then just push them aside again. Alright, now the parts that you just pushed aside to glue and dry, just pick them up. They still may be wet depending on the type of glue that you're using. I'll just go through the glues with you quickly. To start off with, I use this precision poly cement with the fine tip needle end. I find they're better for fine tip like models like this. The pin in that actually dried up, so I had to get another glue. At the moment I'm using this RedBull, which is at the moment I think better, but it's important to make sure that the needles stay dry and don't fill up, because then otherwise you'll be just going through glue like no tomorrow. So just quickly, before this completely dries, just make sure it's at a rough 90-degree angle. If you want to get all technical with it, and grab out your tri-square. And then a technique that I did with the other one, just to seal it off, grab your glue, right, and just do a little dab over it, right, wipe off the excess off your needle, cap on. Right, now you just want to grab a scrap bit of cardboard or paper and smooth the blob of glue over the joint. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it just adds a little bit more contact and seals it a bit better. Okay, blow on it and then put it aside to dry again. Wait. Alright. And grab the other side. Whoop, don't want to drop it. And then make sure it's at a rough 90-degree angle. Flip it over. Grab your glue. Dab it down. Sorry. Wipe it off. Cap on, scrap bit of paper, and then smudge it over the seam. Not only over the tab, but across the whole joint to try and seal it up. Alright, and flip it over, put it to the side to dry, and then chuck your scrap bit of paper out. Alright, so now both sides are dry. Okay, grab your glue, grab the other side, flip it over, dab on your glue, and then repeat the process. So flip both wings over, stick them together, glue them down, and make sure they sit flush. Okay, blow to help it dry, and it's important to make sure that the bottom wing, the bottom half of the bull and the bottom half of the red sit under the top one. And make sure that they sit and dry at a perfect 45-degree angle. Push to the side to dry, and grab the other side, repeat the process, flip it over, dab your glue, and stick it down. So stick it down, flip it over, making sure it sits at a 90-degree angle. And then push it aside to dry, wipe off your needle, pop on your cap, and we're done. Alright, so by now both your wings should be dry and both sealed over. they should both be sitting at 90-degree angles. Okay, as you can see. Now just grab the front wing. Now you think, if you screwed them in first, right, and then tried to glue these down, you're absolutely guaranteed to either A, drop it onto there, or have the glue drip, or you know, struggle to have it even stick. Alright. As everyone's probably noticed, the RedBull stenciled paint job here isn't clear coated. Okay, if you can just see there, or maybe not, there. The red, the bottom of the red there, got a bit of glue on it, and I went to wipe it off, and it removed a part of the R. Luckily, it was hidden a little bit by the black strip, so it's not really that noticeable. But you think, if you had a blob of glue drop down onto here, and you wipe that off, and half your bull goes, you know, I wouldn't be a very happy chappy. So yeah, also too, I just noticed, right, these little fins here, right, even in this book here, glue in there. Okay, now just going on what I just said, you can either take off your side plate and glue it all down separately and then re-screw it all on again, or you can just try and wing it a bit. But if it was me, if I didn't have these already glued down, I probably would have taken these off and glued them on first, just to be safe. So yeah, so the next thing we want to do is we want to open up our pack of 4 screws, which should look like that. Well, that's just a pack of heap of screws. But you should have 4 screws left over out of that packet, which go through the sides and into those screw holes. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Alright guys, so you're going to grab your red side, alright, flip it over and line it up with the inside screw holes. You'll know when you've got it in the right spot because it'll sit flush. What you want to do, it's a bit fiddly, but you want to probably put the screw in first and hold it, and then push it up against the screw as such. God. Alright. Alright, now grab your little screwdriver and slowly screw it in. Okay. Alright, don't screw it in all the way just yet. Key is, make sure you don't get this side panel scratched. You know, if the screwdriver slips out of the screw, make sure it doesn't scratch any of the surface here, as that's the final finished product. Yeah, so do that one up and then grab your second screw. Second screws are always easier because you're not actually holding the thing in. Alright, grab your screwdriver And the key is with this RedBull model is patience. You know, you wait a week until each issue comes in, so don't rush it when you get your new issues, because that's how mistakes happen. Alright, so that's one side done. Alright. So now you just want to repeat the process on the bull side. So grab your bull side. Okay, grab one of your screws. Okay. Okay. It'll probably help to get a magnetized set of screwdrivers. Yeah. So do them up very tight, but not too tight to crack the plastic, or put it under any pressure to the point where it fades to a lighter shade of blue. Just make sure they're flush, as RedBull racing fans would know that the total sticker goes over the side end plates here. We don't want any bubbles in that livery sticker. Okay, so wind them up, make sure they're flush, and there we go. So we've got both wings done. Alright, but as you notice, a lot of flex here. So our next step is to add in these struts. Okay guys, so next step is we're going to add in these struts. Alright, now as you notice, I haven't done this step yet. So this is new for all of us. Alright, I'm probably going to dab the tiniest amount of glue into that little groove just there. Alright? The tiniest amount. Alright? And then making sure that factory circle mark is on the inside with the slope facing towards the back of the car. Okay, grab a bit of glue, just dab it on the top or put it on the underside of your fin. Okay, now grab your model, put the top in first and then lift it up and drop the bottom in. Okay, so top in first and then drop the bottom in, making sure it doesn't go anywhere else but in the groove, otherwise it will remove the paint off your car. Well, it will remove the RedBull paint. The blue, I believe, is pretty sealed, but as far as the stencil work goes, it will be removed. Okay guys, so let that dry and then repeat the process for the other side. So the tiniest amount of glue, boom, grab your little bit, the factory circle on the inside, sloping towards the rear of the car, little blob on top, maybe a bit too much. Okay, now you want to pick it up. Okay, tilt it so you can see the hole, put it up, lift it up, drop it in. Okay guys, so those wing supports are now glued in. Okay, if you just set it aside, and then if you want, just either put your rim or your shock oil or whatever you can on top of it. Make sure it's not too heavy, but just enough to hold it down. Okay. Alright guys, so while that dries, just going over our last couple of parts here for issue 3. As you've probably noticed by now, I've done my steps in slightly different orders to what the book has given. Last couple of little body fins, these little black things. These little black things go on the top of the red and the top of the bull. Unlike the ones on the bottom two, okay, the black and the silver ones, which I spoke about earlier, They've got no little pinholes for them to clip into while you glue them down, so they're basically just sitting in there free, and you got to glue them down. As I've also just spoken about how the glue reacts to the RedBull paint and how it will strip the RedBull paint, I've chosen to leave these ones off, which are, as I said, the top of the red and the top of the bull. Also too, I don't know about you guys, please comment and let me know, but my ones are different sizes. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be, or if it isn't, I've got no idea. So I'm leaving them aside, because I don't want to risk ruining my RedBull paint scheme. So yeah, so it's just these ones left to put on. Just waiting for the glue on the struts to dry, and we should be all cool. Alright guys, so it's the last little fins here to put on. The key is to make sure you've got the right ones on the right size. So notice the sides, sorry, so just notice how this curves in. So you would want that one to curve in as well. They've both got little pinholes here that go into the sides. So if you're not too sure, just dry fit them in first. See if they fit, see if they're flush. If not, shave a bit off. And as I said, just the tiniest amount of glue, because you don't want any glue getting onto this red and the bull parts, because it will strip the paint off. I can't stress this enough, it will ruin the paint. Okay, as you can see, I don't know if you can see it, it started just there to strip it off, and I was very lucky with that. So the last thing you want is for it to be ruined. So just the tiniest amount of glue on the pins, hold it in there, and it should be fine. Alright guys, so we're going to grab our fin. Alright, open your glue, tiniest amount, can't stress that enough, tiniest amount. Okay, now without getting glue all over your fingers, maybe wipe off a bit of excess. Okay, if any of you guys have ever played the board game Operation, this is what it's like. So get it in there, hold it nice and sort of steady. If you have a steady hand, then you'll have the advantage here. But if you don't, like myself, it's really going to take a little bit longer. Blow on it a bit to try and help the drying process. Quicker it dries, the better. Get down to eye level with it, and just keep tapping and tapping until you get the ideal position. Okay, now I'd just do one for now. Grab your tissue, wipe off your glue, put on your cap. Okay, let that dry. I had problems with this strut. It when I screwed it in, it was pulling this up too far for that to lock in. This side was fine, but I just had to add a bit of weight to the top, and it's fine now. Once that's completely done and I'm satisfied with it, then I will repeat that process on that side, and we are complete. I wouldn't recommend touching that for some time, just to be safe. So yeah. Okay guys, last step, remove your weight. Now we're going to repeat the last process of adding that last aero fin to your front wing of your RedBull RB7. So add the tiniest amount of glue to the ends. Okay, wipe off any excess if you have to. Okay, now this is a hard bit. Alright, now put the pins into the pinholes and hold it at roughly a 90-degree angle. Okay. Now make sure it sits at a nice straight angle and that it's strong enough to hold its own weight. And let it sit. Okay guys, so that's the end of issue 3. Your front wing is now complete, except for the application of the total stickers, which happen in issue 5. So yeah, so just put the model aside safely somewhere. And yeah, thank you for sitting through half an hour of model building footage, and please click that like button and subscribe. Thank you.